I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. What's up, people? How you doing? Man, I'm telling you, we were already talking about food, and I wasn't hungry, but now I think I'm getting a little hungry. I think I want to go outside and pick something. I don't know. But I know I have an amazing author on the show. So maybe that will keep me in here because you guys know how much I love authors and how authors make us smart. And we'll be right back. Don't you go anywhere.
I did to be different, 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 I did to be different.
Welcome back to the show. Oh man, I have a author on the show today. It's so inspiration, a journey for the divine, and it is Kiana Hamilton. I don't know how to say that middle name. Is it Lashia?
Lashaya.
Lashaya. See, I'm getting good with names, but I'm not that good. Lashaya, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you.
Oh, no problem, no problem. Okay, so let's hear your journey up into the book. I mean, what inspired you to write your book?
Okay, all right. So you said you want the long version or the short version?
Girl, I don't know.
Okay, so I'll give you the direct version.
Okay.
The process started when I was in my senior year at K-State. This was 2016. I was going through a state of where I knew I had been dealing with depression because this is at a point where I had actually had different professors involved that even knew what my struggle was mentally. One of them even recommended me that he would pay for a session for me to go. So I went and trade for time for leniency in class. So we made that swap. And in the process started, just going through things. I ended up getting to the point where they actually started putting me on medication. That was the first time I ever got on medication for depression. So I was dealing with that. First generation student, having to deal with knowing nothing but figuring everything out. So it was a big shock. The oldest of 7, blended family. So it's like I have been used to being responsible for so long that being by myself for the first time, I realized that I wasn't handling it well. So I started even finding myself in circles I didn't expect myself to be in. But I learned a lot about myself in those processes from being in those circles. I, started getting to the point where I started indulging in substances. So I was smoking weed and doing things like I would drink, and that wasn't my thing. I was a church girl, still am. Just was born that way. But this is where I was at 23, 24 years old with little direction. I was just tossed out, go to college. That was it. Like I said, first generation, nobody that was close range to me could tell me what to do. I had to go out and find it out. And, from then I started getting to a point where I woke up, I knew poetry was my thing. I started writing at 13. So I would either praise dance my way through things or I used poetry as my other outlet. One became my voice, the other one became my counter to what I'm dealing with. So I'm gonna praise my way through this. So when I started get to a point where I said, okay, I gotta shift some things around, I started freestyling poems. I would just wake up every morning and I would freestyle poems and I'll post them on Facebook. I started doing that for months at a time. Before I knew it, I had at least 5,000 people that would look at some of the stuff that would just, like for real, like I would get random friend requests. Cause I went from like a few hundred that I paid that close attention to, then it became, okay, approve. I looked up, it was quite a few. So, I was like, now all of y'all ain't looking for my poems though. Some of y'all just found out what it looked like. So I had to deal with that, but I would just pour out my heart in poems, but I would talk positive. I told myself that. I said, if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna speak positive. So I started writing poems that I thought would counteract what my mind was dealing with. So then it got to the point where, you know, fast forward, I'm done with school. I'm back in Kansas City, you know, under my grandma, you know, staying with her until I figured some stuff out. Ended up conceiving my daughter. Then it's like, all right, I got a baby now, 26, what I want to do. So I started getting to a point where people would talk about my poetry, like what you do with it, you know, do you perform? Do you do this? Do you do that? I was just venting. You know, I that's how I felt about it. But it got to the point where I was like, dang, they was like, you know, pretty no, you got some cold hands with that. Like, you know, you better you better copyright that stuff. So I was like, all right, snatch up all my poems. It was a couple hundred. I had to break it down. I literally made that book. Like I had to go in, take everything that I was doing, do what I was doing. I had to pray a lot. God, what you want me to say? How you want me to form it? I was taught if you put God first, it can't fail. So, you know, I tried to take what I had learned throughout my spiritual journey and then tie it into all the experiences Kiana went through. And I said, people want to know the author, but I said, God, I ain't trying to put my business out to people that don't know me. Like, I'm not for you misjudging me stuff. Don't give me that energy. I'm going to come hard with mine. It's like, I will read you in 5 seconds. But I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm serious. I know people. And I didn't want that consumption of me to be the highlight. So I said, God, I'm gonna need you to tell me how to smoothly do this. So I was able to tell my story through my poems, through my words, but I let it shine primarily on God because God is my inspiration.
Gotcha.
He countered my mind to speak things into life. He allowed me to find my place where I flowed. He allowed me to even know what was inside of me because what I took as a venting source, people were commenting. And to this day, I'll still get people that message me and be like, I miss your poetry. Or I just want to check on you, see how you doing. Like you got a light that's like this. We don't see you on our timeline. What you doing? You good? You like people do that stuff, and I'd be like, you know, I appreciate it because you don't know how you sing and what kind of impressions you give off. And social media is just to me that. I mean, I've been on it since Black Planet days in the middle.
Oh my gosh, Black Planet.
So it's like I done grew up with the stuff. I'm not obsessed with it. I know a life before it existed, and I just be in that one. So excuse me, but I so that was more my thing where I said, okay, I got my daughter. I still got the notes from my books because I for one didn't title none of them. I literally freestyled all of them. And said it, and I made it an assignment at one point. It's like to the point where you're talking about at least 200 poems or more because I was forcing myself to commit to something. I would work and be like, okay, it's my break. I got my whole lunch break. I got to spend some before the day is over, before it's noon, before it's like, if you have time to wake up and do something. Like, so I kind of disciplined myself to do it when I started finding out people were feeding on it. Because then it started deepening my relationship with God in that level where I'm sitting in cars, just, dang, like, what I'm going to say? I'm on my break just doing stuff, or I'm on the couch with people and, you know, and then being like, I'm in the zone while they doing what they doing. Like, because I was like, yeah, y'all want to listen to this? Like, and then the whole room stopped and turn around like, yeah, what's up? Like, yeah, we want to hear it. Like, okay, y'all missed it. So when I kept getting that, I'm like, dang, maybe I'm supposed to do this. And just, you know, and when I finally sat down, named every single poem, I started realizing I have a thing. God, I started talking about perseverance a lot. God, I started talking about strength a lot. God, I was talking about love a lot. God, I was talking about hope a lot. And I mean, that's how all my chapters came from, exactly the common theme of all my poems over almost 200 some odd days. And just because I had did it so consistently that I didn't even realize what I was putting out there. But he broke it down and said, this is what you're talking about: relationship, persevering, hope, finding your strength, being it, because you don't know it all.
Right.
You don't know it all, and you're writing
Right.
from what you don't know it all. And that's why I titled it, A Journey for the Divine, because the first thing is I had to say, I need a fancy word for poetry. So I was like, inspiration.
Yep.
Inspiration. And then I said, I needed to say it's about me, but it's not about me, because it's my perspective. These are some things that I know to be true, or else I'm not going to put it here. I don't believe in false narrative. I haven't developed in the fiction writing yet.
I hear you.
You know what I mean?
I do.
My imagination don't work as well as some others. I kind of dream in truths. I think to manifest things. So it's like, for me to do a book for the very first time, I knew I wanted it to, for one, draw adoration unto God, so that way my light would shine through.
Right.
That it would be vouched by his truth and what he purposed me to do. And therefore it being the journey, and divine is what Kiana means. Kiana means divine.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, that's the meaning of my name.
Nice.
So it's a journey for Kiana. Like, at the end of the day, if you don't get it, it's a journey for Kiana.
Right.
But at the same time, the divine is something you're seeking after. It's a form of perfection. I'm not yet that, but some of the stuff I done wrote from experience could let you know why.
Gotcha.
It could fill in some gaps with your imagination, because that's where poetry does its thing.
Wow.
I'm very invested in poetry. I took classes for it. I did, creative writing courses in grade school, then going to college and doing it. And when you get A's and stuff, you want to stay consistent at the A.
Oh,
so,
yes.
English was a favorite subject of mine. It was math all the way.
English?
Yeah, it was math all the way up until the 9th grade. And then English took off. Like, I started finding a real interest in dissecting stuff when we would read Shakespeare, or if we would read just, books that were even, because I grew up in predominantly white schools. The Midwest, is predominantly white schools. So I know that life between Kansas and Nebraska. That's all I know. Kansas and Nebraska is very much so twin states, and they operate a lot alike, and a lot of it is white institutions. And when you are growing up in them, knowing you Black, because your family telling you that. At home, it is Black. Black. So, but when you in this world, for a fact you're amongst others, period. Just others. I was aware of that early on. So it's like, home was Black, church was Black. Then everywhere else was everybody else. And so a lot of my mentality and shaping became, like, I know how to speak up for myself, because we talking on the platform, platform meaning the classroom. That was the first platform I knew. I knew how to raise my hand, get picked on, because I'm not about to just pass if I don't know what's going on. You got teachers that will teach at you, not for you. So I need some understanding on this, and I ain't afraid to say nothing. I got past that age real quick. When I heard a teacher tell me, you won't know nothing unless you raise your hand, I believed them. I believed the teacher when they told me that. And I would raise my hand all the time and ask what I asked. I did it at church, at Bible studies and stuff. I would be the only young person in the room a lot of times, but I was never afraid to ask what wisdom was on the table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Please
Yeah.
pass it to me.
Please pass
I
that
want to
wisdom on to me. That's right.
pass.
Mm-hmm.
I want to end this struggle with your wisdom. So I'm going to ask from you. You know what I mean? Like I learned that in my education experience. So having a writing experience in history, it made it all come together. And then it allowed me to see what it was that God even wanted me to put forth. There's a teaching element there in my style of writing. You
Right.
know, I have passages in my book where they all start off with questions, and I ask common questions that the average person on their journey with God want to know, because even the divine is of God, like God, or from God. And we want all these things. So it's like I wanted to capture that in my poetry, but be transparent and show that I have a real relationship with God. I can run you some stuff.
Gotcha.
Like, because to write a book at 26, you have a lot of older people that feel like all wisdom ain't good wisdom.
Right.
But then at the same time, you can't help who's called at what age.
Yeah. Yeah. You can.
You respect truth, period. It has no age.
Right.
And I wrote from an element of truth of what I know and what I believe through prayer, fasting, and a lot of meditations. And by meditation, meaning my worship time, my praise time, my reading time. I like reading. I'm one of those. Tell me something, I'm gonna go look it up.
I hear you. Me too.
Yeah, like Google is my friend.
I know that's right.
But you can't trust everything on Google. That's where you gotta have life outside of the machine that lets you know somebody made that up.
Yeah, right. That can't be real.
You look for real articles. Because that's where plagiarism and all that stuff, because you always had to research. And so I learned how to scope out what is journal written and then what is opinion blog writing, because a lot of opinion blog has taken over journalism. So you kind of scope it out when you know literature. And it's funny to say it like that, because I know my family, and especially my dad, he'll tell me all the time, like, you really an author. Like, ain't nobody in the family did that. Like, he said, you put a book together. And I'm just like, I did, didn't I? I said, the elites of authors in the world. Like,
yes, you are.
That was, and I said, that was, priceless, but that was my journey up into writing into it.
Wow, that is so cool. It to me, this seems like one of those things that's not going to stop, though. Are you going to go ahead and do another one?
Yeah, I'm actually, because I have the whole outline for my second one. My thing is, it's crazy because I was like, dude, why won't I just can't like write it out? And it's funny because it's like I felt the unfinished business with this book. And it's like it was hard for me to move on knowing that I was like, I know I still got work to do with this project.
Well, I mean, it could be part two.
Yes, and that's pretty much kind of what it is, because it's based on a chapter that I have in Soul Inspiration, and that's love. And that's and that's pretty much the whole synopsis of the book. It's a high focus on love, and I don't mind openly saying that, because how I'm gonna go about talking about it and even incorporating my poetry is its own original thing. So but the whole subject matter is love, because that's one thing that doesn't grow old.
No, it doesn't. And it's always something people are looking after.
And they talk about it every single day.
Definitely. How did this book help with your depression?
For me, it got to the point where it resurfaced my relationship with God,
Mm,
which made me start realizing I knew I wasn't by myself, because I had to break down why was I depressed for one.
mm,
And I was depressed because of feeling overwhelmed for one, of and feeling like, now I know God my whole life and I felt like I was disappointing him. That bothered me. Then I had to find forgiveness in that, which is a whole section in my book. It's the last section because it's split into 5 sections, and the last section only has one chapter connected to it, and
mm.
it's forgiveness, and it's the shortest section in my whole book. And I say that because it's the main thing I'm still working on.
Ah, is that why you feel like you have work to do on this book?
Yeah, I do, because I knew the message wasn't finished. I
Mm,
had to still do the groundwork, not just say it's done, because it wasn't done.
right, right.
And that's why even when the opportunity came to interview again, I was like, okay, you're right. Like I have something that was in my heart that I was allowed to get out through all my stuff that I was dealing with. And knowing that it was one of the first things that I can say I did 100% completely unto God. And knowing that I left it where it was.
So you feel incomplete, but now that you're starting the second book, is that something that's making you feel a bit better?
Yes. Only because I said the subject matter. It's all love. And love is not a downside to me.
Mm,
Like it's one of those things where, like, no, I'm not married. I had my son, and he helped with that in another way. Then what being a mom, that helped me out of depression, because I don't have time to beat up on myself when I got priorities.
exactly.
And I'm one of those, because like I said, being the oldest of 7, being a big cousin, watching, being that one where you can say, yeah, I literally watched all y'all. I changed almost
All your
all,
diapers. All your diapers.
all y'all. I've been
Mhm.
changing diapers. I was that kid, that 8 years old, that could change a baby's diaper over her lap. Like,
Mm.
I was very, hands on. I just
Yeah.
was that, I had to be a lot of times. So when I got into that position, and then I went my first job, childcare, blossoming in it, loving it, knowing where my passion was, which was working with children, helping children, being a leader, realizing what leadership looks like and what love genuinely looks like. To know that, I tell people, I said the best thing I could have did was work with other people's children, because I said you got to be patient and choose how to love on somebody's kid without trying to spank them. That's not the answer all the time.
Woo child.
You are trained to know how to communicate and deal with behaviors.
Mhm. Yeah,
you
you
know,
got to. You
you
have
got
to.
to. So it
Mhm.
helped me and my mother, and when I later chose to be, because I became a mom at a decent age, 26, and then I had my son at 30. So I was in places where I chose motherhood. Even though I didn't have marriage, I chose motherhood, and I didn't regret it. I had got to a point where I birthed my book that was a baby, but I focused on my natural ones.
Mhm.
And then that became even a competition in itself, it felt like, because it's like, I'm trying to do this because I don't know nothing about being a new author and publishing and being independent, and being like, dang, how you really sell books? Like, really, how do you? And and I'm like, I work with kids. That's what I do. I like using creativity and different elements. Marketing was not my thing. Like, I had threw my hands up and was like, I'm about to be a mom, and say, Lord, do the rest, and that wasn't working. Then I was so I once I just really allowed myself to But instead of getting mad at different things, I just focused on knowing how to refocus my energy into different areas of put some effort here right now. And
Right.
then put some effort here right now.
Mm-hmm.
Motherhood has come with, little instruction. I've had to, go in freestyling and like a lot of other ones have. But trying to realize that there's still purpose in me beyond that. That's something else that helps me with depression, is knowing that I really have more in me. I can't stop here. Depression is the number one thing that shuts me down. I had to
Mm.
like study me. Like, really,
Yeah.
I am used to being by myself.
Mhm.
I literally know me. So I look inward a lot. I break down things a lot. One thing I don't do is point fingers. One thing I don't do is do the blame game. Now, if we're talking truths, where you fit, because
Yeah.
it's one truth. I don't do that. It's your side. It's our side. No, no, no.
It's truth.
We're there, and we know what was true, because we can break
Mhm.
this down line for line, moment for moment on the clock, and you say yes, nay, yay, yes, nay, and I'm gonna say, you really want to try this, because I was there with you. So that's how I live life. I don't really like to. I live. I see where I was the problem. It's that real over here. Yeah,
It's to be like,
because sometimes the part of the problem was, yes, I was there with you.
yeah, right.
I was
Mhm.
with you.
Yeah.
That was a part of it. And
Uh-huh.
so I'm not,
Oh my gosh.
I don't do that blame thing. I live my life. I learn from experiences. I learned to really like who I am, for one. I don't wait for other people to like me. I've had to live with little approval. So it's like, that never stopped me from doing what I really believed I should have been doing.
Right.
And every time I did it, I'm generally not disappointed on my side.
Mhm.
Take my stuff strongly and more so move on faster, because I did the choice. I made
Right.
my mind up about it, so I don't stay focused on, a lot of things that I meant to do.
Right. Right.
Did it help me
Wow.
or didn't help me? I got younger sisters. I tell them so many of the stuff that didn't benefit me, just to even get it out of my system. Learn from this. Somebody got to learn. You the
That's
closest
right.
in range. Let me flip this and tell you, don't try that.
Right. You're right.
I'm one of them. I don't believe in setting another generation up for failure. That was another reason what made me get an impulse to write my book. That was
Mm.
another inspiration, is knowing I work and love on children. I don't want them to keep seeing a form of toxic life and think that it's fun and okay.
Yeah.
You need to know what something else look like. You need to know what something else sound like. You need to know what something else can become.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
everything ain't fun. All of your life experiences, God is not about to come down here and tell you why it happened. And so many people get mad at that part about their relationship with God, that they'll block him out. And I try to even be one of the things, because I knew I was from the church. I said I wanted to write a book that, even if I was talking to somebody that never knew or believed in God, I'm talking to you too. I am speaking on a me factor and why I am devoted to my faith, why he is my inspiration beyond a building,
Mhm.
why he is someone that is walking this journey with me and through me, because I allowed it to happen. I invited God into my heart. I didn't know a process like this could even take as long as it's taken, but I know that's a part of the journey. You
Yes.
know, I've learned to really, because patience is one of my chapters. I'm telling you, when I say a common theme, he brought it all together, because even though I haven't picked up my own book, all the material is in me. I know it. I know what he had me write. I know what I've still been living out. And even to know, like you said, that continuation, love is next.
Right.
I know that's coming for me. I know it's going to heal a lot of things. I know it's going to shift my perspective on a lot of things. And I know even that is another process why I had to even be patient with my second book, because I can't, love is such a sensitive topic that
Yes.
is changed its form for the negative. And it's like, I don't believe that God allows some people to give up on what we know to be true.
Hmm.
And that, I think, has to be really expressed in this world, is whether it's, your love for your passion, or your love for your family, your love for, like, these are all things I tap into in my book, because, you know, something as genuine as love, for it to be getting a tarnished rep, is allowing a lot of darkness to come in. A lot of
Yes.
people don't even know how to have a conversation with trust first. You
Hmm.
lying in the first conversation. For what? A defense mechanism. That's it. Like, we're not even about to play games. We know what this is. This is psychology 101, the first 2 minutes. Defense mechanisms. What are you trying to do to hide what hurt you? Lies is the first thing. Like, Lord, like, it's okay to be, that's what I'm saying. Like, I really don't see a downside of love. You just gotta admit that you gonna get disappointed. That's literally the first section in my book. When you
Right.
open it up, like, and the book starts, it says section 1, part 1, disappointment.
Mm.
Because that is the number one thing that sets a lot of people back.
Right.
Disappointment. Your expectation was not met, and you ignore the fact that humans alter reality, period. And if
Wow.
you keep getting focused on who put the glitch in the system of your vision, you will not go nowhere.
Mm. Mm.
Like, really, so many people study the glitches. It went wrong here, went wrong here, went wrong. Because humans are humans, and you ended up in the atmosphere with these people. You trusted these people. You, at some point, you gotta know that some people are going to be for you or against you, and the ones that
Yeah.
are, it's, as much as people like to point out the negative, I said I wanted my book to be something that people could pick up and read some positive every single day.
That's nice. That's nice. Wow. Well, I'm looking forward to that second book, but the first book is so inspirational, Journey for the Divine. And that has got a lot of you in it, girlfriend, because I can hear it coming out as you talk about it, as you talk about your second book that's in the making, and how maybe some people out there can literally use this book to help their journey. What do you say?
I think everyone should try to first enjoy poetry. This is a new, I can't even say new, like, poetry ain't been on the scene, but I'm someone you don't know, and you don't know how you can connect to my voice. And I know that sometimes connecting with the right voice is enough to uplift you. We get addicted to music because it uplifts some part of us, so much so that we can, in comment section, stand up for people we ain't never met. So, so I would say picking up the book first is going to introduce you into a new sound of poetry. I write in various forms. I have some that are written in sonnet like form. I have some that written because I like actual poetry, so I study forms. So some, from a scholar, you could pick up on, oh, there's an AB format here. We got an ABC change. We got a this. That's gonna appease some people. Oh, I see what she doing here. Then there's wordplay. I see how you doing that here. Then there's some that are straight to the point, Dr. Seuss. It's that being able to also still develop a reader
Mhm.
into the form of language that I'm really going into. It's its own language itself. Even some of my prose and comments that are written down and broken down, they flow as prose. It's a sound to how I talk.
Mhm.
Comes out And I know music is something a lot of people draw to. I feel like that's what my book is. It's written psalms. It
Mm,
starts with Psalms 112. And a lot of people know that, in the book of Psalms, there's a lot of poetic scriptures in there. So
yes.
it's like that kind of feeds into even some of my book, where it's like you get the entertainment aspect, but you're gonna get the real that's really trying to change your narrative
Hmm.
on how you see yourself, how you see yourself around others, and how you see yourself with others.
Right. Right. Wow. Wow. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. You guys have got to go check this book out for yourselves. I mean, I was depressed at one time and I know what it feels like to be depressed. And I know what it feels like to find that one thing that takes you away from depression and takes you into understanding who you are. And that's exactly what this book did for my girl right here. And I want to thank Kiana so much for being on the show for So Inspiration, A Journey for the Divine. I'm looking off to the side because I want to make sure I say that name right. And you can get that book on Amazon, but where else can people find you?
Right now you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And most of those are all under Kiana Lashea or Kiana Hamilton. And also, there is an album that I have for my book that I title Author Essentials that you can get on iTunes, Spotify. It's a preview into the book. There's 112 poems in the book, but there's 27 on the album that I actually recorded. So yeah, I did some acapella and some were, beats that I used that my friend himself made for me. So it has a creative twist on it, and it's 27 other poems, which I choose 3 from each chapter, and I call it my author essentials. So if you want a
Author.
preview for the book, you can go personally listen to me say some of my favorite poems from the book.
And that's on Author Essentials.
Yeah,
Eh,
it's Soul Inspiration, Author Essentials. And so then you have Soul Inspirations, A Journey for the Divine, the actual book.
Okay. I'm going to put that in the description box below. So that way it's easy for you guys to find that. Because I think the two of them together is going to be an amazing thing for you. You're going to be able to hear it and you're going to be able to read the remainder of them. And that's just wonderful. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to dare to be different. And don't forget to go and visit that. It is Author Essentials, Soul Inspiration. I have it written right here. Author Essentials, Soul Inspiration. There you go. All right. Go listen. All right, guys. And
Let's go
until next
listen.
time, have a good day, guys. Bye. Thank you so much for stopping by. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell so you'll be notified the next time that I upload. And don't forget to dare to be different. Until next time, guys.
I dare to be different. I dare to be different.